So it's been about 2 weeks since the last video. Been busy doing some wiring. There's really not much to video while I'm trying to do that, and time lapses aren't really going to show much under the dash, so I haven't really done any videos of it. As you can see, the engine bay is now basically wireless except for a couple of harnesses that are for the engine itself, which until the engine comes out won't be removed. That ugly bit there, which we can try and get rid of. Next project is to refit the intercooler and the piping, just so that I can at least start it, so make sure it runs again. Wiring for both headlights is done. It runs around the outside. I've just got to finish putting some conduit on and some tyres to hold that up. Put the horn on the outside so that's hidden away. Window wiper wiring now comes through the top of the scuttle, so that's no longer through the hole there, which is basically just the engine harness now. That's it. The booster's back in, clutch, master cylinder's back in, all that's bolted back up. Engine harness power, which is for the alternator and starter motor, currently run around the block and along the rock cover, and then just back through the firewall. Once I get the rest of it sorted out, get the engine out, I'll probably run it hidden behind the engine itself, back into the car, and then rejoin it. Not much else on the front ends really happened. Did a bit of cleanup and gave the engine bay a good wash. There's a time lapse of giving that a degrease and getting rid of 20 years of grime that's kind of hidden away. It's the old alternator and starter motor wires that probably slightly undersized. They're very cooked, they're very hard and old, so they're in the bin. Been putting the console and everything in just to test where I can run wires so they're hidden, to make up new floors where my clearances are. Most of that will all come out again, but I need to do some modifications to the console so that it stays up. As he's cut out the parts for the 64 to fit in, it doesn't really sit there anymore. It's kind of loose. It's just nothing to hold it up. But the 64 still fits in there. So just a matter of learning how it all goes together so that I can put it together once and it doesn't need to be touched again. Started making up a frame, well, cut a piece for the frame for the subs behind the window. Behind the seats. Wayne has currently painted the two subs, which are in Perth, so they're going to be sent over soon so that I can start building that box. So the main part, which is cleaned up, is now all under there. So all the fuses, relays are in there. Main power cable now runs through into the tray, so I've got to do the batteries in the tray before I can get anything working again. I put a power stud on the end of the dash, which just needs some insulation and stuff on it. Nothing's really complete yet. It's just a matter of testing, make sure it all works first. So that's the starter motor and alternator power cables, exciter wire, and then obviously the main cable to the battery so that I don't have to run a big cable through into the engine bay. It's just a distribution block of sense so that it can make it easier to do some wiring. The existing fuses are sitting up on top of there for the moment. We're going to make a bracket up to hold that. The rest of the sound deadener in the floor on the driver's side is all done, so I can start moulding a new floor for it. The wiring through the centre of the console for the module, which is still going to be cleaned up and tidied up. We're getting there with that. The other thing that I have purchased is the Davies Craig controller for a thermofan. I've got a 70-amp relay to make sure that it doesn't melt any wiring, so everything will be basically oversized so there's no issues with that. So if it's sitting idling at shows or whatever, then it doesn't cook itself. All the intercooler pipes and everything need cleaning up, polishing. I've got to modify the breather hoses that go into it, which is really not that pretty. I'll mount the intercooler back up. And the other thing we have is the FG or AU thermofan. Try and make that fit the existing radiator, which may not be the easiest job, but I've done a couple, so we'll see how we go with it. Then we'll paint that up and make it nice and clean. Simple 2-wire fan, so it shouldn't be rocket science to get that going. So we'll get rid of the original engine fan that can go in the bin. And that's where we're up to. That's got the start of the pods made up. 2 speakers. We're not putting the tweeters in there anymore. They're going on the top of the dash, so I don't have to put the holes in, the same as what the old ones were, which is not ideal to have behind the speaker cloth. Not best for sound quality. So now I've just got to cut these plates for the spacers so that they sit up high enough. The base plate is cut and mounted on the door, so that's nice and solid. So just got to cut the other bits and glue it all together, put the speakers in, and then that door trim can go back on and we can try and get some sound in the front, hopefully the next couple of weeks. We'll keep going on it. It's a nice day here in Orange, sunny, hasn't rained for a good 12 minutes now, so hopefully that stays away for a while. We've just been absolutely smashed with rain. Not ideal for trying to work, but it is what it is. Thought I'd take some time to have a bit of a clean up. The owner's due here in a couple of weeks to have a look at the progress. Coming over for Bathurst, great race. So just chamoised off some stuff and given some shine to a few bits and pieces, wiped it off, got the dust off. Not that there's much to really get off, but giving it a bit of a clean up. Get the shine back for the paint that's in really, really good condition. And today's project is get the door pods on with the speakers in. So you can see in the time lapse, we knocked up door pods at a mate's workshop. We'll go to router table setup, makes it a lot easier to do the job. So last night I just glued them up, put some sound in them just to help with the reverberation a little bit. So they've got 4 screws in each one, so they're nice and solid mounted. I've got the start of the tweeter plates made up, so they're glued on, so I can smooth those in and then we'll get those painted to match the old ones, but obviously moving the tweeters from the door up onto the dash. Aside from that, not much else has really been done. I've made a start on the sub box as well, so that's sort of together. We'll go to Tate's and cut some more wood today and get that hopefully built up and sealed up so I can get the sub in and get it up and running before the owner gets here so that it can listen to some music. And seems to think 110-inch sub's not going to be enough in there, but it's not a little sub, so I think we'll be fine in a tiny little cab, but I'm pretty sure that's going to do more than adequate. Alrighty, a week on and we've got a box that's basically built and fits in the back now. Still got to put the top on, but I'm going to do some angles and stuff inside just for a bit of airflow, maybe fiberglass it, a couple of little holes in the corners to fill up, just due to the shape of the tub being fiberglassed in there from Jamie and making it not so easy to make a box fit in, but it should go in there all right. Got the speakers and the doors, they're all wired up. Both sides are done. I put that door trim back on just to check the clearances and everything. The tweeter pods, they're all glued up and primed. So I'll go pick those up, put tweeters in, have them sitting in there and wired up, just so that we can have some music on and have that playing. The owner's due in 3 days, so we can go over it and see what he thinks of it. We've got some pieces cut out for the box for the eyeball subs, which is hopefully going to take up no room behind the seats, but I'm just going to chuck that together quickly so that we can get that in there, so that we can, one, see it, and two, make sure there's enough room. So that is the new floor panel for the tray, so that I can sit the amps on it for now, just so I can wire it up to get it running. So just dummied up some wires so that we can run the front splits and that 10-inch sub, and hopefully get some sound out of it so we can check it. That's where we're at. So that's it for this episode. As you can tell, we didn't make it to Summer Nats, even though these videos are a couple of months behind. We just didn't get enough done to be able to make it there to look complete. If we could get everything painted in the tray and that, it would have looked sort of finished the way it was. But at the owner's request, we didn't push our luck to take it. So it'll be 100% finished before it's seen now, which means pulling the engine out and smoothing out all the engine bay and basically finishing off everything that needs to be done. Next episode, we'll be getting all the frame built that goes in the tray to hold all the new stereo gear, and also finish off the box behind the seats which holds the subs. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.